So let's get started. So Stevie, you watched our video and you had some critiques for it. So yeah, let me know. Let me know what you think we was getting wrong in regards to how
Um,
we handled this Charlie Kirk situation.
well, I want to keep what I felt was wrong towards the end, but leading up to that, just think it's a differing in opinions, which is fine. That's what we're here for, man. But I think if I can recall correctly, the beginning of it, it was more like um you were talking about how the right wants to, or we need to tone it down. Or I don't want to say we, right? It was more like focusing on the right versus the left. You know what I mean? And you felt a way about. I'm assuming what your intent was is focus on the right. Now we need to tone it down, and we're doing the same thing that the left was doing, bro. And um, where I differ in opinion with you as far as this whole situation is that I don't think anything should be toned down if we're highlighting, if we're focusing on the right people. You know what I'm saying? I think that the right versus left is being overhyped, which makes sense because we're divisive as hell in society, man. But the demons are demoning. You know what I mean? And regardless if it's right or left, I feel like, these people need to be held accountable and we need to zero in on these individuals. And I don't think a toning down at all will work, um, given the climate.
Okay.
Um, and, I'm not going to say I felt some type of way at the beginning when we're focusing on, like, the emphasis of your video was to highlight Charlie, and then you were trying to compare it to other things that may have happened that were similar.
Sure.
And I think that's taking attention away from the elephant in the room, which is Charlie Kirk situation, which we never had a situation like this happen ever. Because of the social media and the fact that everyone was able to see it. You know what I'm saying? And that makes the situation a whole lot different than anything that's happened in the past as far as a murder of this magnitude. And it seems that you were minimizing the impact of what happened to Charlie. Um,
Okay.
and
What?
and
Yeah. Go ahead.
well, I'm gonna keep rolling out. I'll let you.
No, no. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. If you're still on this one, I just didn't want to move from this
Yeah,
topic,
'cause
but
I don't want to roll out like 10 things and have you
yeah, yeah, yeah,
maybe
yeah. It's always better to
maybe
go
we
point
go
by point. I think
yeah
so.
maybe we should go one for one.
Yeah.
So it felt like from my end, it felt like it was a right versus left type of thing. And you know what I mean? From how you were describing it, right's doing this, the left's doing this, and you're saying it's hypocritical of the right to be complaining about the same things that the left is doing or what the right is implying that we're doing. And to me, it shouldn't be about that. It should be about we isolate, the evil, the degenerate shit that's going on. And when we try to minimize or just bring up the comparison between Charlie Kirk and everything else, it minimizes the tragedy that everyone just witnessed and like the impact it had on everyone, man. So I feel like it's deflecting from it, and it's like Charlie Kirk, his tragedy was important, but other things has happened, and the right was doing the same thing. So it's kind of like, no, it is to me, it's minimizing, what happened.
Got you. So I think there's 2 points in there. One being the hyper focusing on right versus left. You felt like we did that too much, and the second part is minimizing Charlie Dess's murder. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So just to go to the first point, I did have that in my notes. I think in your video at around 2 minute mark, you said that I was minimizing Charlie Kirk's murder by comparing it to other political violences or like contextualizing it in the way that I was doing. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm minimizing it. I disagree with that characterization for a few reasons. I think it's natural when someone dies that we try to understand why. That's why people love murder mystery. That's why people, every time someone dies, they want to know who the perpetrator is. They want to know who their motivations are, because murder is generally something that we see as incredibly heinous. And so understanding what led to that is always important. When I'm not comparing, this is not the right word. What I'm doing is that I'm explaining away how our society led to this moment and this man, because he wasn't murdered in a vacuum. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was an individual who's incredibly troubled, and he decided to go out and murder somebody for their political opinions, their affiliation, maybe because they had mentally ill issues. Who knows? But there's a landscape, and there's a lot of things that lead up to this murder. It's always important to examine these things, because if we don't understand how we got here, then we're going to be doomed to repeat it. It's never, in my opinion, a bad thing to contextualize any world event, provided you contextualize it fully, right? That you, or at least you try to, because without context, then all that happened was that someone was shot. Context is everything.
Well, to that point, that makes total sense what you're saying, but to me, it didn't come across that way when you voiced that in the video. It seemed like you were trying to, highlight the divide between the right and the left, or whoever the instigators of it are. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't seem like you were trying to get to a root of the problem or how we trying to fix it. It's like, like I said before, I mean, what you're saying now, if you had voiced it that way in the video, I wouldn't have had the mindset that I have in regards to what you said. But in the video, it didn't come across to me like that at all. It felt like,
well, right now the pervasive narrative, and this is where it comes to the left versus right thing, the pervasive narrative that's online and that's being espoused by some of the most important people in our political, stratosphere, is that violence of a political nature is solely left wing. Okay. And I remember at about 3 minutes, 29 seconds, when Matt Walsh is talking in your video, you said that I was interpreting what he's saying. When he's talking about good versus evil, it's time for the righteous to prevail over the forces of evil. You were saying that I was making a left versus right thing, right? But that's just not true.
Hold on, well, let me make a correction, because you go further on in the video. I recognize that point. I said, hold up, if Matt Walsh is doing that, highlighting the left like this, that's unfair to do so. Then I went on to saying this makes the left look bad. It makes the transgenders look bad. It makes everybody affiliated to this look bad. It's like guilty by association. That's not the right thing to do. It should be a good versus evil thing, right? But then I went on, because you had a couple other videos of people uttering or echoing the same sentiments as far as, righteous and good and evil. But I did highlight Matt Walsh in that video specifically saying, all right, I see that he is describing the left in this manner, and that shouldn't be the move.
Right. But again, at about like 6 to 7 minutes in the video, you kind of do it again where you say that, that's how I'm interpreting a lot of this narrative of good versus evil. But it's not just Matt Walsh. Ben Shapiro said that most of the political violence today is flowing from left-wing movements and ideology. Elon Musk was on Twitter, and he said the left is the party of murder. If they won't let us live in peace, then our choice is to fight or die. Alex Jones said the right-wingers are in a war during a live stream. And he said that the left has been put a bullseye on Trump, and he put a bullseye on his supporters. President Trump himself, during an interview, let's see here. Let me pull up the clip, because I think it's just important to me to get the exact words that he said. On Fox and Friends, he says, we have radicals on the right as well. And he says, I'll tell you how, I can send you the clip you wanted. I'm going to just read it verbatim, his quote.
I believe you, though, bro.
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see more crime. The radicals on the left are the problem. So when I'm talking about right versus left, I'm not talking about someone in a vacuum or someone at home. I'm talking about the most important people in our political discourse, framing most of this violence as I only left. And what you did in the video, and I did appreciate, is that when we said, if you look at the numbers, people got mad because I quoted the ADL, but there's all sorts of things from FBI statistics to different organizations who track terrorist attacks. Most of it comes from religious extremists and then right-wingers. Left-wingers at the bottom of that list, especially over the last 10 years. So I'm not trying to frame this as left versus right. That's the plate that's already been set. Since Charlie Kirk died, the right has not stopped politicizing his death. They haven't stopped using it for fuel for their attacks on the left. And so in that climate, you're asking people to not talk about left versus right, but if the left doesn't, then the just right gets to make the narrative that they're the violent ones. And it's just not true.
Well, my opinion is that both should submit. It's not a left and right thing. It's an evil versus good thing. You know what I mean? And that's, and then it's me watching you, so I'm expecting that to be that should be the point. You know what I mean? It's like what you're doing is adding just, fuel to the fire to what you're saying everybody else is doing. Like, you're highlighting the hypocrisy of people complaining about what the left does, essentially what the right is doing the same thing. You know what I mean? But, with that, like I said, with that the Matt Walsh clip, I specified, I definitely could tell he was highlighting the left. Well, all that shit is fucking wrong. And I said that in the video.
I agree.
I said that in the video, right? I said that this it's not a left versus right thing. It makes everybody look bad. We need to focus on the motherfuckers actually making things horrible for everybody. The extremists, the radicals, all that. You know what I mean? That's what my focus was. I feel like that's what the focus should be for everybody.
Yeah, and I did have that noted in some of the things that I liked that you did. I did appreciate that you actually said that, because a lot of people are not saying that, or they're just avoiding the topic entirely. But you have to understand, when I'm watching this video, when I'm watching the discourse, I'm looking at things in totality. So when I'm talking about,
what video are you talking about? When you say you're watching the video, what video?
'Cause I think I was looking at a lot of the political coverage in regards to this. I've been looking at the people who are responding, everyone who's been talking about this, and how the public is talking. If you spend time online, they're not talking about this as like both sides. That's not a lot of the discourse. A lot of the discourse, especially from the right, is that they're just saying essentially the left is the violent party. Go check out those comment sections. Go check out a lot of the discourse from the
big. That's going to happen every time that happens. Every time someone from the left does something crazy, they're going to highlight the left. When the right does something, they're going to highlight the fucking right. It just that comes with the territory.
Right. But it should be noted that we should correct those narratives and say that these are not one-sided things. If you watched our video, we didn't say violence is only right wing. We said there's plenty of people who've murdered people on the left from the left, and we said that. But the dominant narrative right now is that left wingers are the violent ones, and they're obviously, especially with the most recent murder, it makes sense that it's going to be the dominant narrative. But it's important to not let those lies be able to be spread, and to say, actually, guys, you're wrong. In fact, this year there's been other people who've been killed. You said we were minimizing his death by bringing up these other murders, but those deaths are part of this discussion. The same thing that led to those people being killed is the exact same thing that led to Charlie Kirk being killed. And it's important to know that, because if we don't understand that, then all this is just going to happen again. You said it was different in your video because Charlie Kirk died on camera and nobody was supposed to see that. You remember that you saying that?
Yeah.
Right. To me, I understand that the fact that he died on camera makes it much more graphic, much more in your face. But at the end of the day, murder is murder. Dying is dying. Someone is victimized.
But it's the effect that it has on society. It's not the same. In the vacuum, it's the same. But if people were able to see that video until the end of time now,
sure,
right, they're able to see that man go out the way that he did, and knowing up until this, I can't compare someone else that had the amount of influence Kirk had. You know what I mean? And to have, if he hadn't been murdered in front of everyone at once, your analogy, your comparison will be fair, man. But
okay, can I ask you something?
You can't minimize
if Kirk was not killed on camera, if Kirk's not killed on camera, is this situation more or less tragic?
It's less tragic.
So dying on camera makes a murder worse?
No, not the murder worse, but the effect that has on the people is worse because everybody can see it.
It makes it different. But from a moral standpoint, it's the exact same. There's no difference in morality. It's just more shocking.
Morality is a different conversation. I'm just talking about tragedy. Morality is the same. I'm talking about the effects it's having on society.
Yeah, but if I'm talking about other murders, I'm talking about the moral aspect of it. But that doesn't mean that we can't contextualize it with those other murders. You say it's not comparable, but I disagree. They died for the same reason. They died for the exact same reason.
If you had related that way, trying to bring up the similarities and how you conveyed it just now, it would make more sense. But that's not at all how you conveyed it in the video. It came from, a leftist bias type of perspective from my end, that you were trying to minimize it by bringing up other similarities. You didn't bring up anything up about it being moral or same morally. You were just saying, to summarize it, Kirk died, everybody else died, and this happens with political violence.
Yes, because what I'm getting at is not how he died, or like in front of who that he died. What I'm focused on is why was he killed. Okay, so let me say I agree with you. Let's do a different exercise. Let's say I agree with you. These are different to a degree. So what's your point? We shouldn't contextualize his murder?
Well, in your video, it didn't feel like you were contextualizing. If I felt personally that you contextualized it, trying to get to the root of a problem, then we wouldn't be here today. But I felt like your intent was to minimize Kirk's death by bringing up all these things that happened.
I would argue that you are minimizing his death by not contextualizing it properly. If you don't talk about why something happened and how we got here, then all you're doing is just describing a tragedy.
I'm not talking about why. I'm just focused on your video.
Yes, but if you're going to counter my narrative and say that I'm wrong for contextualizing it the way that I did, or you don't like the way I
No, but
contextualized,
you're saying you're contextualizing it now. When I watched it, I didn't think you were contextualizing. I just
okay,
thought that you were minimizing it.
that's fair. I disagree with that. I think I talked about how we got here. I definitely said that in the video. I talked about the fact that there's been a string of political violence over the last 10 years and that this is not a shocking outcome. Kirk being assassinated is not the craziest thing. There's a reason why he had security. There's a reason why I think he was wearing a bulletproof vest. There's been threats on these people. So we have to take that into consideration, understand that this is not something that happened that is out of this world. Even Kirk himself realizes this is a possibility. There's a reason why everyone who does these...
I get your point, but that's not at all my argument, bro.
But that's what I was
That's
talking
not at all
about.
my
That's
argument.
what I was talking about in that video, for sure.
Well, I mean, I didn't receive that on mine. If I felt like you were contextualizing it, then we're on the same wave as far as this is what happens when politics get off the rails. But in the video, like I said, I thought that you were just minimizing it by comparing it to everything else. I didn't feel like there was any contextualizing there. So just got to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And I've watched the video probably 3 more times because, we're having this conversation today, man. And I didn't get it all that you were contextualizing it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say that. I was saying those words exactly, contextualizing it, but I think that is what I was doing. But again, we could agree to disagree. So those were, I think, your first 2 disagreements that you had with me. Yeah, you could definitely let me know some other ones that you had for sure.
And I mean, I just get to the meat and the potatoes now, man, because do you feel like you manufactured a narrative on Kirk by showing those those snips of him in your video?
Yeah, okay, we can address that because I did have that in my notes as well. I think around like the 20-minute mark, you said I took him out of context, right?
Not even take him out of context. You put your context on it because we let it play. I put the additional clips on it.
Okay, so just for the viewer, there's a clip that we played, maybe a 15 seconds of Kirk on a Jubilee panel. He's talking to somebody. This is a panel about Christians versus, or is it right wingers versus lefties? I don't remember what it was.
I don't know, but it was about abortion.
Okay, it was about abortion, right?
Well,
and Kirk is a very Christian, self-proclaimed Christian. Everybody knows this about him. So in that clip, the woman is asking him a hypothetical where he says, if your 10-year-old daughter was raped, okay, would you force her to keep the child? Is that a fair assessment of the clip?
Yeah.
And then Kirk says yes.
He said yes. The baby will have the baby, or my girl will have the.
Okay,
child.
and then you said that we were kind of dishonest with how we did that. That we clipped him out of context, and then we put our own context, right?
No, I'm not saying you put your own context. You didn't put the entire context.
Okay.
Like you said, you led into it by saying, you said I think. I'm not going to speak. I'm going to recite you verbatim, but it was essentially, I think that Kirk has said some disgusting things as well.
Yes,
and you played.
I played that clip.
Videos.
Yeah, so let's just talk about that first clip because I remember you taking that first clip and being really shocked. I think. Let me just see here because I did have that in my notes here. Oh yeah, you said that. You said that was really surprising that you were shocked coming from me, and you called me the king of receipts.
Yeah.
But yes, so that is
real shit. Because I rely, but I know when you giving somebody shit, you gonna have.
Okay. So how do you feel I took that clip out of context?
Because when I see that it's trying to paint Kirk as a monster because he's going to force his 10-year-old daughter to have a child.
Right. But as somebody who's anti-abortion, that's his stance. He will force his daughter to have the child because he feels as though life is precious or whatever it is. And, he sees the fetus as a life. So he's like, my daughter will have that baby. That's his take.
Yeah, but if you let the rest of the video play, I mean, it's subjective. Everybody's going to feel differently watching that. But if you just have that short video, it makes it seem like he's a monster. I don't care. Anti-abortion, she having a baby. It could be for anything because my way or the highway or whatever the case may be, bro. Everybody's not informed on Kirk and his reasonings why. And if I think that you let the video play and gives you his reasonings why, people would understand it. They may not agree with it, but they'll understand it and they'll take a blow away from how they're initially feeling about him being a monster.
Well, they'll see him still as a monster because no matter how much you explain it from a religious
But
standpoint,
that's your opinion. Though, 'cause I don't think
but
he's a
that
monster.
was my whole point. Do you remember what the greater point of that whole section was? That section was about the fact that some people view him as a monster, including me. I don't like the guy. I didn't think his politics were good. That's my personal opinion. I think I'm free to say that. And I played clips that to me showcase his stances on things that I just don't agree with and I think are disgusting. Forcing your 10-year-old daughter to have a baby, okay, that after she was raped, okay, you could say it's great for religious reasons. You could give whatever justification you want. There's nothing in there that took him out of context. His stance
It
was
is because if you having that short snippet, people are not gonna know why he's doing it. They're just gonna know he's doing it. If he gives justification of why, and he gave very clear reasons of why, that's going to make some people look at it different. You're putting this. You know what I mean? Like it's like showing a video of somebody shooting somebody in the head, but just randomly. But you
okay.
figure out that this motherfucker like killed my mom, then it makes sense.
No, because the people who are following this or people who are even tuning into this stuff know that Charlie is a political speaker who's incredibly Christian. So
You're making that assumption though, bro. Like you're making that assumption because now since Kirk has died, there are so many people that are just now learning about Kirk. There's so many people that didn't know before. There's so many people that didn't know before. If you put that narrative out,
can I ask you?
This is a big reason why so many people don't like Kirk because they get some of these short reels taken out of context.
But they're not out of context. It's not a context.
It is not.
No, it's not. It's not.
Context.
Stevie, if someone says I'm anti-abortion, I'm a Christian, we know why you don't want an abortion to happen.
In that clip you put, he didn't say he was Christian though. He just said she just gave an example and he said no, she can have a baby. He didn't say he was Christian.
This guy was all over the world, all over the news, and he was constantly
making an assumption.
No, I'm not making an assumption. Sure everybody who saw that clip of him getting murdered knew he was a political speaker who's Christian. There's not a person who didn't see that clip, who didn't see the news reports, who didn't know what he was. You're acting like I took an obscure person.
That's cap. That's not true. That's not true. You can't speak for everybody in the world, dog.
That's not out of context, boss. That's not out of context.
Because I talk to people now that had no idea who the fuck Kirk was. Now they see him on his timeline going, and they don't know who the fuck he is. That's false, bro.
He has the very standard cookie cutter Christian view on it. There's nothing.
Regardless, you're making the assumption that people know, dog, and that's a dangerous game. You got to give them.
That's not an assumption. That's not an assumption, boss. I'm sorry. Anybody who's following this knows he's a Christian political speaker. I'm sorry, but I'm just not buying that. In fact, everyone's been introducing him as such, so we know why he does not like abortion. I don't need to see 5 minutes.
You know, and a lot of people do know. Everybody doesn't know, dog, and you got to be fair and give the reason why. You got to give the justification why. If you just say he's doing this, they go, oh, he's a motherfucker because he's gonna force a 10-year-old to have a fucking daughter. But if you go let the shit play and he gives the fucking girl the business of why he made her look stupid. To me, I mean,
but that's because you're probably anti-abortion. Am I right?
No, I don't know. I could care less. I respect his stance. I'm not pro. I'm not anti. I respect his stance. I don't agree with it, of course, but I respect it because he's standing on 10.
Okay. But my point still 100% stands. At the end of the day, if you are going to force a 10-year-old to have a baby because you believe abortion is wrong, it's okay for people to say you're a disgusting person, and other people can agree with your stance and say you're cool. My entire point was
that was my argument. My argument was you took about the context. People can say what they want to say, but okay. About the context, you're manufacturing a narrative.
I'm not manufacturing a narrative. The narrative was very clear. He's a Christian man. He's against abortion. Super basic.
You didn't have Christian in that clip, though.
I didn't have to because everyone knows who he is. But
everybody does not know.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree. We'll agree to disagree. But I think that's not taking someone out of context. If someone says I'm a Muslim, if someone says I'm a Muslim and I'm a no. I think you're reaching. I think you're definitely reaching. But it's okay.
How am I reaching?
You're reaching.
How am I reaching?
He's the most viral person right now.
The narrative, bro. He said, I'm going to force the 10-year-old to have a fucking baby. That's it.
No.
That's all everybody going to see. There's no more context. You didn't give a motherfucker the opportunity to explain why.
No. He's the most viral person in the world. People know he's a political commentator. They know he's Christian. I'm not buying that, but we'll agree to disagree. That's not taking someone out of context. If you're not an unknown person, we know where you're standing. We know what you're there for. But we'll agree to disagree. This is another point you made, and this is one I thought was crazy. You played the other clips of Kirk. You kind of said there's nothing bad about this when he said he wanted Biden to be executed or given the death penalty. You don't think that people should hate somebody like that, or some people might hate somebody for that reason? For saying violent things like that?
Yeah. That's their opinion.
Another point that you made, I played a second clip, and this is probably one of the wilder clips. A young man goes up to Charlie Kirk during that debate, and he says to him, "Hey, what do you think about school lunches for kids?" And Charlie laughs him. He says, "There's no starvation in America. We have an obesity problem. Nobody here is going without food." And then you agreed with him. You said there's no starvation in America. Go get food stamps. You can get food at churches. There's no reason to starve. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there's no reason to starve in America. It's like 1% of households have like I guess, technically a hunger issue, bro. But people are not starving to death in America, bro. Motherfuckers are fat as hell.
Okay.
It's a fact.
And see, this is the problem I have with like people who are pro-life, and not you specifically, but people like Charlie Kirk. They're so obsessed with keeping fetuses alive. They pretend it's like this big virtue. And then when a child is born, they're like, "Fuck you, your parents take care of you." It's actually probably one of the most hypocritical, and this is why I think Charlie Kirk is probably a shitty person to me, is that he spent all this time being anti-abortion, but when it comes to every government initiative that's meant to protect kids and keep them good, he was always against it. And to me, it's like, what's the fucking point of keeping this fetus alive if when it comes out, you're like, "Yo, fuck you, kid." And that's what he did. He said that guy was...
He said, "Fuck you, kid"?
No, he did it, but he might as well have when he's constantly championing everything that's anti-public sector, or sorry, government-involved taking care of kids. Like even you saying there's no starvation is like so disingenuous. If you just Google it, there's like so many kids today here in America. You could look it up, the statistics, that have malnutrition, that have food scarcity, that have all these problems. It stunts their growth. It fucks them up in terms of their academic success. And for you guys to sit there and think that food lunches for kids is a crazy idea and parents should take care of them. Some parents are dog shit. Some parents don't take care of their kids. And so that's why these school lunches happen, so that kids who go to school get a meal. But people like Charlie Kirk, and then you did the same thing, or like, "Oh, the parents take care of it." That's fucking stupid. And I'm like, do you guys even Google this stuff? Do you guys even look into it? But you speak confidently against this stuff that's hurting hundreds and thousands of kids. And I'm like, I don't get it.
I'll ask you a question. Which one is higher, the amount of abortions in America or the amount of starving children in America?
The amount of starving kids in America.
Oh, that's cap.
That's cap? Did you Google it? Did you Google it?
I don't need to Google it.
You don't need facts. But you know what? Facts don't care about how you feel about it. I need you to Google it.
Okay.
Go Google.
Somebody Google it in the chat.
Okay.
But I'm not. Let me figure out the best way to articulate this, because you have this anger towards Kirk and me and whomever else because we don't support government, not even support government assistance. We're saying the parents should do it, but in the reality of the problem, bro, there's so many different ways that people can eat outside of their parents. There's, bro, food stamps, churches, charities, bro. Like, there's no reason for somebody to starve.
So do you want a 7-year-old or 8-year-old to go to get food stamps or go to church and get food?
Their parents should go.
What if the parent doesn't want to go? What if their parent doesn't want to go?
You saw in the video I said it, bro. I'll be jealous when I see the amount of money these people have on food stamps, bro. They be running these EBTs up $400, $500, $600, bro. Like there's no excuse for somebody to be broke or to be hungry, unless they got like they're picky, they're bougie about what the fuck they want to put in their body, dog. But beggars can't be choosers, bro. Like you can't have no filet mignon when you can't afford it, dog.
Okay,
we live in a capitalistic country, dog. It is what it is.
Let's take 2 steps back. All right, let's take 2 steps back. Do you agree with there's a lot of bad parents out there?
Absolutely.
Do you know that there's a lot? Hold on. Do you agree that there's a lot of parents who neglect those children?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think that those kids should suffer because they have bad parents?
No.
Okay,
I don't think they should, but bad shit happens.
So wait, you're just gonna let kids suffer when the?
No, I'm not gonna let them, bro, because there's other avenues. Like if they're going to school, this is a hypothetical.
Well, no, hold on. What did you? If they're going to school, what? If they're going to school, they can get a free lunch there.
If they're going to school, I'm assuming that teachers are aware. They can see someone losing weight.
But that's what the program's for, Stevie. That's what I'm saying. The program is meant to give kids lunches at school.
No, that's not where I'm going with it. I'm talking about like teachers making calls to get the correct parties involved to address a child, to find a potential food for them, so they can take advantage of the surplus of food that is available for people in these situations. Like the homeless don't go hungry, bro. They can go get a meal if they want to get a meal.
You're comparing children to homeless. Like, what are we talking about? See, I want y'all to just think about it. So you know there's shitty parents out there,
Yeah.
okay? And you want teachers to call the shitty parents to be like, hey, be better parents. Or you want to call child services?
they can call-
You
they-
want to call
they-
child services? You want to put them in foster care?
It may be better than having them the shooty ass parents.
Have you looked into foster care, Stevie? Have you Googled foster care?
I'm saying, but you're describing these parents as ain't shit, bro. Like it is bad shit happens.
I know. I cover them. I cover them every day. There's a lot of ain't shit parents. There's a lot of ain't shit.
Bro,
You cover them. How many videos have you done about baby mamas? How many videos have you done about baby mamas and dog shit parents? If I go to your channel right now, I'll find dozens, hundreds of videos. So you want to call those? You want teachers to call those parents and be like, "Hey, feed your kids."
You're saying that you're saying I'm telling teachers to call the parents. I never said that. I said they can call parties that do this for a living to find children the resources that they need. Like teachers do this all the time. They'll see a child that may be neglected and they'll make the calls or alert people to, intervene. Right. But I mean, I feel like we're pushing it far out to like specifics of it, bro. At the end of the day, my point of view on it is that it's, abortion is a far larger problem than starving children. Children don't starve in America. They may be hungry, but they don't starve. This isn't fucking people. It's not a famine going on. People are not dying because
they're not dying. But do you understand?
Like hypertension, obesity. There's much more obese kids than there are hungry kids, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the world's not perfect, dog. It's not utopia, bro. So it's like I get, and then I'm a capitalist, dog. I'm not in support of the government coming out taking care of everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna oppose it. Like,
but you want the government to get involved and stop abortions.
I never said I don't give a fuck about what anybody does with abortion.
Did you say it's a bigger problem?
Yeah, I said it's a bigger problem. But I didn't give a solution to it. I know it's a problem. I never said what I want to do about it. I could care less. Like it is what it is, dog. This life is fucking hard, dog. And some children are born in fucked up circumstances, bro. It is what it is.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. I think a lot of people would hear your stance or hear Charlie Kirk's stance and say, you guys aren't the best people because you don't seem to care about making sure that other people in society are okay, right? You guys are more focused on being capitalists and taking care of yourselves, which is okay. Do that. But if people want to look at you and say, well, you guys spread hate out there or you guys spread selfishness, I think that's okay. I think I'll be allowed to do that.
I never said that was a problem. I said people can say whatever the fuck they want to say. My issue with people was celebrating his death, like championing pom-pom and that shit. That's the epitome of evil to me.
That's the epitome of evil.
It's not a right or left thing.
You think it's more evil to celebrate that man's death than it is for that man to advocate for the fact that children don't get meals?
But they can get meals. Is that the only video you've seen him talk about children?
I'm just saying. Someone dancing in the room.
Listen,
I think it's bad. No. I agree. I think it's bad that someone danced in the room and thought it was great that Charlie Kirk died. But I also think it's bad that you're out there openly advocating for kids to not get meals in school because we have an obesity problem. I think that's also bad. I think so.
Get meals in school. I'm advocating for kids to take advantage of the surplus of food available to them in different ways that it is.
Yeah,
it's not on somebody to do it, bro. Like, you're shitty parents. I get it, but we disagree on that perspective, dog. Like, you think that the government should step in and save the world. I don't agree with that. I mean, if they do it, I'm not gonna contend it. I'm not do what you want to do, bro. But I understand Kirk's perspective in that.
We pay so much in tax dollars, and most of it goes to the military to do funding wars overseas. I don't think it's so crazy to say, hey man, take 1% of that budget and make sure these kids don't go hungry. Take another 1% of that budget and take care of veterans. But like maybe that's wrong. I just think it's crazy. It's me personally.
I wouldn't disagree with you with that, but I don't disagree with Kirk either. I mean, I don't think he should be painted as a demon for having that viewpoint.
I think it's pretty demonic to not want kids to have meals. Personally, that's me.
He never said he didn't want kids to have meals. Is that the only conversation you've seen Abba have discussing that topic?
When he was suggested a food program to make sure that kids who can't get access to good food or decent food or have malnutrition get food, he said, no, that's fucking stupid. Let the parents do it.
Can you answer my question, though? Was that the only video did you let that video play and see what else he said in regards to that discussion?
Yeah, I played it.
And what did he say?
He said that he thinks that the parents should take care of it. The state shouldn't be involved.
He said, pull it up right now. I've seen
you can pull it up, but that's what he said. He said the state should not be involved.
No, bro, you're a victim to the same thing everybody else going through, just getting sucked in by these reels, dog. He's named all these different avenues, these different ways of children to receive food. You're just
hold up. How does a hungry kid get food?
I gave you one example.
What is
If
it?
he's at school and teachers are aware of what the fuck's going on and they see a damn child coming in there looking emaciated, I don't know. I don't know what teachers, but I've seen instances where teachers step in and get the correct party involved to help said children.
Okay, so you want the state to get involved to make sure that kid gets school.
I
You literally like that's what you said. You want this. Do you know this?
I never said want. I said these resources are available to them.
But that's what your solution is, right? You're
That's
fine.
not my solution. I'm giving you the fact that there's different avenues and resources for children to get food if they need it.
Okay.
I'm not saying what I want. I'm saying what's available to them. There's no reason to starve, dog.
All right. Hey, listen. We'll agree to disagree on this point. No reason for kids, but statistically speaking, every year there's so many kids who are suffering from malnutrition. That's what the numbers say. We'll move on to the next point.
And there's so many people that die from car accidents, bro. Fucked up shit happens. Like, we can't save everybody. We can't save everybody, bro. Like, it is.
But just because we can't save everybody doesn't mean we don't try.
But there's avenues for them to be saved. Just maybe not with this school.
Yeah, like, yes, car accidents happen every year. Doesn't mean we don't try to make cars safer. Doesn't mean we don't make roads better.
And there's ways for children to get food.
Okay, man. I'm going to disagree. I think that stance is crazy.
You don't think there's other ways for children to get food outside?
I don't know. Have you ever been a kid? You think kids just know where to get free food every day? You truly think kids know what the resources are? Like, what are we talking about, man?
I don't know what their day-to-day is, man, but maybe there's meetings or like ways that teachers can express this to children to like educate them on, there's like sex reproduction type of information they get. There's like, if there's a potential for a problem to be had, I'm assuming that, there may be ways for schools or whomever to express these resources to kids to make them aware of it, at least. Like, if they come in hungry, hey, we have this available if you are hungry. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how it is, but there are different ways for children to get food. I'm just making sure off the top of my head of how that connection may occur.
Yeah. I just think in terms of a worldview, we fundamentally disagree on this topic. But it's fine. We can move on to the next topic because I don't want to laugh in circles.
Yeah, but like, look, but first of all, like, my only issue was the manufactured narrative. And then, we got to the bottom of, like you saying, you were contextualizing it in the video. I didn't receive it as such. I mean, those are mainly the unless you have something.
No, because I think you went over some of the stuff that I had because we both watch each other's videos. Another problem I had, I think this is like I'll pull up the clip too because this ever happens around because I think you said you felt I was very biased. This is a very liberal take on things. That was a quote. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. I'll come back to that after. Yeah. So when you say this is a very liberal take after like watching a good like 10 minutes of our video, and you feel like what we're saying when we're saying, hey, both sides engage in political violence, there's a lot of this happening right now. Why do you feel like this is a very liberal or biased take?
I mean, it kind of goes to what I was saying initially, where it was like minimizing the effects of Charlie's tragedy and bringing up other examples to compare it to. And I can't remember.
Okay. Just to come back to that, let's say if we could contextualize it, or we couldn't do it the way we want, talk about other political violence. What would you have preferred? Do you prefer that everybody who talks about Charlie's death talks about it in a vacuum and they just talk about him dying? Like, because you didn't like the fact that we talked about like all the other deaths and all that stuff, and that's fine. But like, what would you have preferred?
No, if in that video, if I understood it as you contextualizing it, I wouldn't have a disagreement with you.
Okay.
I just feel like it was a way to minimize what happened to Kirk.
Okay.
People can say whatever they want to say.
Okay.
I watched you, I follow you, and I was just surprised by the take.
Okay. I feel like you got a lot of right-wing bias. I feel like you call and when
I do.
Yeah.
I can agree with you.
Yeah, in the video you said that you feel like the left is the emotionally driven side. You feel like the right is more logical? You said the left is more emotional, so I feel like you think the right is more logical?
Yeah, I'd agree with that take.
So you don't feel like the right engages in a lot of hysteria or a lot of emotionality?
Yeah, they do.
Do you feel?
I think a valid, I guess, a label for the left. I mean, with the whole different nuance. There's much more nuances and different ways that the left operates, man. Outside of like racism and racism, I feel like the right gets crazy extremists with racism and like transphobia or whatnot, man. But there's just lots of spectrums to perspectives and different ways of looking at life and mental health type of things that derive mentally and emotionally from the left, which is propagated mostly on. I mean, all I see is on social media, bro. That doesn't appear as much on the right. It's usually like a nationalist or some white supremacist or some anti-gay that's out here doing the utmost.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's not a lot of conversations as far as like gender dysphoria. That's a mentally emotional type of conversation that is very relevant. The whole LGBTQ thing, and you get children involved and all, like it's much more nuanced, much more layered. The right wing is much simple. It's more based on traditions and values, and then you got motherfuckers that are super traditional and super values, and that's when it gets hateful.
Do you think that traditions and values are logic based?
It's a twofold. Some of it is based on religion, but then like you can apply logic to it. You know what I mean? Because it's been a tradition because something has worked for so long, right? So if it's working, we built this logic to know it works this way. We sustained the quality of life for this long, so we know based on our tradition that this thing works. And then when we take logic or take tradition and values away, we have this mess we're in right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd fundamentally disagree with that. People have done certain things for thousands of years, from human sacrifices to all kinds of really fucked up traditions. And
I mean, I'm focusing here in America. I mean, there's no perfect way of doing things, bro. But I think I'm the simpler the better, man. There's not room for extra bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot more crazy things going on because we've opened up the gates. And we scale it back, and I'm not talking about nationalism, white supremacy, whatever, man. People can do what they want to do, but when you let everybody just follow their feelings and follow their heart and do what they want to do and don't apply any logic, then problems arise.
Do you think faith in religion is logical?
No.
Right, but that's what a lot of the right is driven by, no? And to be honest with you, I don't think everything about religion is necessarily logical. There's plenty of laws and rules in there that are good principles to have in everyday life. But I just reject this notion.
I'm not religious. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But you made the assertion that you feel like the left is more emotional. But I would argue that if you aren't, very religious, that a lot of that is based in emotion. It's based in faith. It's based in ideas. This idea that lefties are all emotional, but righties are lefties are more emotional and righties are more logical. It's just like, I think it's a very
raising it that way is making it much more extreme than what I was trying to convey. Just think that the label of emotional is more along the lines of the left than the right. Right? I'm not out here saying every lefty is lunatic. I understand the stigma or whatnot. I'm not.
Yeah, I personally think the problem is that you're demonizing the idea of emotionality, and especially in the way that the left might express it. But I think being emotional in healthy doses is very, very good. And much of the way that the right expresses it, if done well, can also be very, very good. But this idea, you almost made it like a critique that the left is more emotional. But in my head, I'm like, just today, right? Or yesterday, during the memorial, I watched Charlie Kirk's wife give a speech. It was hyper emotional. It was very faith based. There wasn't necessarily logic to it all the time, but it was still very beautiful. It was very moving, and that sense of emotionality is something that I appreciate. I just think sometimes
I would too, but I think problems derive from the right and the left. When the right does, I'm only focused on the bad things. That's what we focus on, right? If it's good, who cares? Everything's working. But the bad, there's an argument to be made that when bad shit goes awry, it's because people's emotional connection or just mentally unstableness to how they align. All I'm saying,
I would agree with that.
all I'm saying with the left, it's there's more opportunity for error because of so many different ways you can go about this, man. Like just quantitatively, right? There's much more margin for error emotionally with the left because of everything that the left has going on. The right is simple.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I disagree with that characterization, but I understand what you're getting at. But that's fine. I think that's okay. I think this is the last point that I really wanted to bring up. Let's see here, because I just want to make sure I kind of get to everything, just so that we can close out this up on a decent note. At one point during the thing, and I appreciated the fact that we mentioned the fact that most political violence happens on the right. And you said, I need to fact check that. You looked it up. I want to ask you, when you looked it up, what did you see?
More right-wing violence.
Right. And when I brought this up, a lot of people had a negative reaction. They didn't believe it. They said, violence is very left-wing. I know you didn't. And I appreciate the fact that you looked it up, because a lot of people would be very disingenuous and won't even do that. A lot of the political discourse right now is in the direction that I was telling you about earlier, which is like framing the left as the more political violent party, even though this is not true. This is going viral everywhere, but none of the numbers support that. And I'm curious, from your perspective, why do you think that perspective is out there?
Because Kirk just got killed by the left.
Okay.
I think if it was different and some white supremacists, put another Charleston, we'd be seeing the same thing in the other way. Because it happened. Like we got the right got labeled as racist and all that. Another white supremacist out here killing a bunch of. I mean, I think it's more. I think this is the more. I don't call it viral, but it went viral. This event had the most attention towards it because of the nuance that came with it, man. But I think every time an extremist or act of terror comes and we figure out who did it, we're going to blame that side until something else happens.
Got you. And this is the last thing I want to talk to you about. Actually, the last one. At 3:58, you said, and I think you've repeated this, you said, ain't no talking to them. Nothing needs to be said. They need to be controlled. You were talking about people who were engaging in political violence, or the people, or the evil people who are like celebrating, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Sharon, you've seen that despicable shit, bro. Like, ain't no talking to them.
Yeah. Do you, okay. Well, this will be the last point. So what would you want to do with these people? Because like in the video, you went kind of wild. You said, hey, these people need to be exiled. You said they need to be decapitated. I was like, damn.
I was giving everybody that's on the good end that feels the type of way to feel heard in what I was trying to voice, bro. You know what I mean? Like if something violent happened to them, if they lost their job, if they lost their freedom, like, cause that's literally evil, bro. We don't got no time for evil. There's literally no talking to them. So we just expect them to just like simmer down and not continue their evil.
Damn, man, you gonna make me the most like lip cuck person in the world right now. I'm a disagree with you. I think people who do evil things aren't necessarily evil. I think sometimes they're hurt. I think sometimes they are in a really bad place. I think sometimes these are folks that, and it's almost ironic too, because I do believe that people should be punished for the things that they do and they should suffer those consequences, but I don't think they're irredeemable. Labeling someone evil, I think, is a way for us to look at something and then simplify it. But the reality is that things are complex. People are complex, and the reason why they get to that place is very difficult. There's plenty of people who were white supremacists or part of horrible gangs and came back from it. There's plenty of people who advocated for racism and different horrible things and came back from it. Same thing on the left side.
They better get back from it before it's too late. That's all I'm saying, because I ain't got time to care about why they are that they are. If you spitting evil, you saying some evil shit, you get the fuck out of here. Like, ain't no talking to you. And if something bad happens to you because you fucking spit on Kirk's grave, or you up here acting like you got shot in front of a fucking memorial, bro, like I could care less. You know what I mean? Like, if hopefully you have a intervention or a coming to God moment, then you can be saved. But before that, nah. And then I'm not Christian. I'm not no holier than thou motherfucker.
Fair.
Yeah, man. I know people may receive that wrong, dog. But like, you fuck around and find out. Hopefully you figure that shit out before you find out.
I agree. I would just say, labeling people evil is just a blanket term to be able to just cut off any kind of sense of personhood in there. And like I said,
Yeah, I don't consider them. I don't consider them people. So
you don't consider
what
them
you're saying,
people?
nah, they're. Nah, I'm not. I don't even have a discussion with you because and at the end of the day, I know. Especially at this point, dog. At this point, bro, with the whole Kirk situation, bro, I dropped a video on this shit, dog. Like I've lost faith in humanity at this point after seeing how people address this problem. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I am, mentally, like emotionally attached to my stance in this regard, dog. Like I could care less about why you feel the way you feel.
But that's why I'm saying this to you. You can't be emotional about this and let it govern you, because that's why you get into the bad spot. Because I need you to understand, you saying this is the exact same stuff that leads to the other people looking at Kirk and saying he's an evil person. And when someone is just evil, killing them is no problem. When someone is evil, you justify the murder.
I get what you. I understand what you're saying, bro. I understand what you're saying, dog. And prior to Kirk, I probably would have sided with you, but it is what it is at this point.
But you're being emotional though.
Hey, I'm not gonna be the fucking better person, bro. I tweeted it, dog. When I saw,
I'm not asking you to be the better person. I'm asking you to be logical. I'm asking you to be principled. I'm asking you not to be emotional.
But look, check this out. Logically.
Yeah. I think that right wingers do.
No. Look. Logically, it still wouldn't even make sense because ain't no talking to them. Like, there's no point in me having a conversation with somebody
that's not
like
true,
that.
man. That's not true.
It is,
do you know how many people were talked out of killing people? Do you know how many people who had?
I'm talking about this instance right here, and I'm basing this anecdotally from the people that I've spoken with that are so misinformed, but they're unwilling to even entertain the idea that things are not the way that they believe them to be, right? There's no talking to them. So logically, it is what it is. You sealed your fate. So why am I going to sit here and give you the benefit of the doubt and try to kumbaya with it? Or what's the source of your problem, dog? Why'd you get misled? No, fuck that, bro. Stay over there.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I disagree with the idea that there's no talking to them. There's plenty of people who've talked away from extremism. It happens all the time. I mean, there's a guy, what was the black dude who goes up to Ku Klux Klan members and literally talks them out of, fucking white supremacy. He talks them out of it.
Yeah,
there's plenty of people who do that.
I really think this situation is a one-off because I'd expect the KKK to be that way, but the flooding of just random people out here saying the most sadistic shit, like I've never seen anything. Like, what would you compare this situation to that you've seen since you've been walking the God's green earth?
What would I compare? What situation?
What's there's nothing to compare it to.
Compare what? What?
Like the response, the demonic, the evil responses people have had to it, shitting on his grave, cussing him out, fuck Kirk and his mom and his wife.
Bro. I was on social media enough to see shit, man. Like a couple days after Trayvon Martin was dead, motherfuckers had a trend that went viral to say that it's called Trayvoning. They would say there and lay in the exact same position as how he was killed. They did the same thing with George Floyd. Remember after he died, motherfuckers sat on the floor while someone had their neck, and they would take these pictures. Look it up. I didn't even make it up. You can find these things. There's so many examples of people laughing at people dying because they didn't like them and they didn't like what they stood for. That happens all the time, and these aren't even political people. These aren't even political people.
It was at this scale.
It might not have been to this scale or in this terms of virality. I'll agree with you there, but I'm just saying people celebrate death. It happens. Paul Pelosi, that was another example. He was a 67-year-old man, and a lot of people were hashtagging and laughing about his death, and they were saying,
I give you the one-off. So like, I'm not gonna say it's an absolute thing that nobody was out here doing it, but there was way too many this time, bro. There's way too many this time, and I was surprised. Don't shit surprise me about the fucking world, and I was extremely surprised to see that amount of fucking. There's nothing I can categorize, label it as outside of fucking evil. But people that I didn't fucking expect, even people that I know personally, brother, I didn't even think had that type of shit in them, is out here celebrating a man's death that way. When they got close to home for me, that's when the fucking opened the doors for me, bro.
Yeah, but that's my point. I get how you feel. I get the whole, like the sensation of like, this world is a dark place and like we can't even negotiate with it.
I'm not even gonna say the world's a dark place. I'm just saying that.
Well, you said you had no hope, so that's why I'm saying that. When you say you have no hope,
I'm saying there's no hope for these motherfuckers. You may give them hope. I'm not. They can burn.
Okay.
I care less.
I just, if you can take away one thing is, you know what I mean, what you was telling me earlier. You know what I mean? You can't approach the world's problem from a hyper emotional place. And that's what you're doing right now. You're letting the passion and the emotion of the moment govern how you're viewing the world. Yes, you are.
You misquoting me, bro. You misquoting me, dog.
Ho-
I'm saying there is emotion tied to it, bro. I'm a human being. I'm not a fucking machine. You know what I'm saying? But I told you, the reason why I feel comfortable having this perspective on it is because logically I know that there's no way to talk these people out of it. Right, so logic, that's a waste of time. That's a waste of effort for what?
Wait,
You know what I mean?
but what is this logic? I don't understand. What's the logic though? What's this logic? This logic that you can't talk people out of extremism.
Yeah, there's no talking to them, bro. There's no talking to any of these extremists, these evil motherfuckers out of their frame of mind until they take their own journey to do it. I'm not gonna sit here wasting my time trying to take them out when they not ready to have that conversation.
See, if you're not willing or you're not interested in that discussion, that's fine. But saying that there's no way to talk people out of forms of extremism.
Yeah, there is a way. There is a way. I'm just saying I'm not signing up for it. You can. I'm not.
Okay. All right then.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's very different. If you're saying there is a way and these people can be redeemed, then by definition they're not evil. They're just in an evil space right now.
Bro, you come on, dog.
You have to admit, if you can talk people, but if you can, but think about that. Hold on. It's logical. It's logical. Hold on.
You got it.
Hold on.
You know what the fuck I mean.
But you see the logic though.
Ass motherfucker.
Not that, B. I'm just trying to say, if you're telling me it is possible to redeem these people, then that means by definition they are not evil. That's just what that means. Now, they may be engaging in evil. They may be doing horrible things, and they should be punished for that.
Let me rephrase it for you.
It's important because words matter.
Let me rephrase it for you. Make Albert feel better. Every motherfucker engaged in evil could burn.
Okay. I hope you guys burn, and you guys are reborn through the Phoenix. You guys come back as better people. All right. I'm not the most forgiving person. I think after watching,
either, bro. I know you.
I'm not. But I'll tell you what changed me. I'll tell you what this Charlie Kirk. I'll tell you the Charlie Kirk situation changed me because I think watching his wife on that stage was probably the single most powerful political moment I've ever seen, maybe ever. Yeah. And I think I'm an agnostic person. I'm not religious, but it really was beautiful to me. And, whatever political differences I might have, for her to, she was the only person I saw that embodied like the best parts about religion. Everyone else, they wear it as like a veneer and they're very hateful online. But like truly, she reminded me of the religious people I've met before that were amazing. And I think if she can learn to forgive and try to see the decent in people, then I think I want to try. I want to be better.
Do you think she really meant that? I think it's a political move. I don't think she really meant it.
I think when I listened to her, it felt genuine, and I think I also believed that she really wanted to say that because she was the only person that night who spoke like that. She could have joined the whole chorus of people and been very political about the whole thing, but she chose a very Christian and a like core Christian message, and I think I want to celebrate that. So I'm trying to be a bit better.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about people calling the memorial like a nationalist convention?
I mean, a lot of it was crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even want to talk about it, to be honest with you, because it takes away from her moment, and she's the most important person there. But all the other people who got up on stage, even Trump, I thought Trump was disrespectful, to be honest. He's saying like, I disagree with her. I hate my opponents. Like, why would you say that at that man's memorial when his wife said what she said? Like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? If the wife is not going to say it, how dare you say some shit like that? But I don't even want to make it about that because I'm probably going to cover it and I'm probably just going to talk about her message because like I couldn't believe he said that shit after her, and I feel like it took away from her moment with hatred, and it's just like I don't know, like why? And I don't know. I hated
Trump. No, Trump was being Trump. You would expect him to say. I expected him to say that shit, bro. Trump is just a dog.
Bro, but that shit was like, you gotta be.
He's adding more fuel to the flame.
Yeah, you gotta be sociopathic to use that man's memorial for that though. Like, is there no line? Are you gonna literally sit at his grave to do his speech? Like, I don't know. To me, it's just kind of like there's I don't know. That was crazy. If that's my funeral and people are doing that, bro, I hope I come back as a ghost and kill everybody.
Man, if motherfuckers at my funeral, they better be on some Trump shit. If I got shot like Kirk did, motherfuckers better. I don't want no kumbaya. I don't want nobody forgiving shit.
Fair. If that's you, I agree. If that's your message, that's not Kirk's message. That's not his wife's message. You got to respect the family that you're out there. It's their memorial, not mine, not yours.
I feel
You know what I mean? Like I could never
Yeah.
like you think about this, man. All the people laughing at fucking Charlie Kirk's death and all that. That's fucked up, right?
Yeah.
Now, how about using his fucking funeral so you can push your political message that's against the wife and the widow?
I understand the perspective.
I mean, that to me, that was kind of disgusting. I ain't gonna lie.
I get it. I get it.
I know, but anyways, you know what I'll say that I just want to. I don't want to leave it on that note. Like I said, I thought her speech was beautiful, and you know, if I could leave on any note, it's like I want to try to be better. So I'm definitely going to use that as a little bit of inspiration. You know, forgiveness, and you know, even for Charlie, it may not have liked the dude's politics, but he didn't deserve that for sure. And that shit, what happened to him, was disgusting. And I hope that we really can stem the tide of political violence, because I think where we're going is a dark
You
place.
think that we can stem the tide of political violence? You really think that?
I think if you and I and a lot of people who engage in political discourse try to be better, try to be more civil, try to be more forgiving, try to be understanding of each other, I think we can set a decent example. I can't guarantee that we're going to do it, but we should try. I think we should try. And if we're not even going to try, then how can we complain about the outcome? We gave up and we gave in. So, you know, I'm going to try to be better. I'm going to try to be better. And I'm going to try to set an example.
We ain't giving up.
Then that means you can't call these people evil. That's what that means.
Look. We ain't giving up. I'm drawing a line in the motherfucking sand, bro. Like I say, fuck the right and left. Fuck all that shit, bro. We over here. You know what I mean? And if you're engaged in evil right now, you better come to your senses, because it's coming. That's the type of time I'm on.
Okay. All right.
That's the type of time I'm on.
All right, man. Well, listen, I think
It was cool though, bro.
it was cool. I'm glad that we got to disagree loudly. And like, listen,
Yeah.
I promise you, my opinion hasn't changed at all. I like to disagree. I still disagree with a lot of people, even my own friends.
Yeah, but we should be able to disagree and not have vitriol for each other, bro. And that's the biggest problem we have right now. People disagree, and then people get killed for it.
Yeah. If you want to wonder why I'm moving like this, the last thing I want to do is get shot while we doing this stream. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, y'all not going to catch me slipping. You know what I mean? Bob it and weave it. No snipers getting me. You know what I'm saying? I might be by a window, but fuck that. But I'm sure you ain't got no window by your screen.
No, I got a big ass fucking window right here.
Okay. Hey, Bob and weave, brother. You playing with fire.
I stay holding though, bro. I'm very gun friendly. Real shit. Like this cowboy hat, don't get it twisted, bro. Like this cowboy hat is just, you know.
It's not bulletproof?
Nah, but you know, I get the gun is I got the gun on me right now.
You're not gonna beat a sniper, bro. You're not one of them cowboys.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Listen, I'm gonna end the stream, but
right,
thank you so much, man.
Thank you, bro.
All right, peace.
Yes, sir.